For the Tennessee Volunteers, where to now? Lost a game yesterday in Athens, Georgia. 27-13 was the final. That came up short to the defending national champions. And there's a lot to unpack with this one. We'll start with the game itself. It felt like Tennessee never really got into rhythm. Like they were never able to really do what they wanted to do offensively. We talk about it all the time on this program. The batteries of this offense is the run game. Well, the run game averaged 2 yards a carry, only 94 yards on the ground, and that really was, I think, the tail of the tape in terms of winning the line of scrimmage. That's what determined the outcome of the game. And Tennessee fans, I mean, the Tennessee locker room would probably tell you the same thing, but I think there's more to unpack than just that, because when you looked at this game, there was some money on the table in the early going, especially over the middle. I believe there was the deep shot to Jalin Hyatt didn't connect. There was a couple of haymakers that Tennessee just missed on. And you wonder if those connect, if you do land that punch, how different is the complexion of the game? It's all woulda, shoulda, coulda at this point. But I just want to make sure we touch on that, because if those do connect, like I said, I think the game is closer. And that kind of brings me to the next point is there's good news and there's bad news if you're a Tennessee Vol fan today. Bad news is you lost yesterday by 2 touchdowns. The good news is I don't think you're 2 touchdowns worse than Georgia. Like, I don't think the margin of what happened yesterday is necessarily completely accurate to where your programs are at. Now, I will say this, Georgia as a program is a few years ahead of development-wise where Tennessee is today. And that's not to knock Tennessee. Tennessee has done a phenomenal job in year 2 under Josh Heupel. This isn't how it's supposed to happen. Like, you're not supposed to be this good in year 2. The fact that they are, credit to him, credit to his program, his system, and that locker room and that personnel for how great they've done so far. But I think in some sense, maybe you saw that play a factor with how on fire Athens, Georgia was yesterday. I mean, they forced 8 pre-snap penalties. The defense fed off that. They forced Hendon to kind of hold the ball and led to 6 sacks. So as a whole, I think what happened yesterday was not a one-off, but if you played that game again today, does Tennessee win? I don't know. But I would argue there's a very solid chance that you may get a different result in terms of margin of victory by Georgia. Maybe it's a touchdown. Maybe it's 3 points. Again, I keep going back to the early going of that game. Tennessee had some chances to throw some punches in the early going, and they didn't land. And you saw this thing kind of get out of hand. Like, as a whole, I mean, they were down 21-3, 27-6. Like, when you play one of the best teams in the country in Georgia, and don't get it twisted, Tennessee's one of the best teams in the country too. When you play an elite defense and an experienced and composed team that Kirby Smart has, there's not any margin for error. You can't afford to swing and miss in the early going. You can't afford to have turnovers like you did uncharacteristically from Tennessee. Because when that happens, it just gives more ammo to Georgia, and it allows a team that is already familiar with how to win to feed off that, surge forward, and take advantage of those, opportunities rather. So for Tennessee, there's a lot still on the table. Josh Heupel said it perfectly in his press conference. We're going to reset. We're going to come back in the building on Monday, and we're going to figure out what we got to do from here. Obviously, the tale of what Tennessee will be in 2022 gets a little bit more murky. You no longer really control your own destiny when it comes to the SEC title or the college football playoff. But let's settle in on that college football playoff, because I think that's probably the most intriguing situation right now for Tennessee. I would just say this. You got some help yesterday, right? Bama lost, so they're likely out of the equation. Clemson lost. I would say they're all out of the equation. I would take Tennessee over a one-loss Ohio State or Michigan, whoever ends up dropping that game at the end of the year. If they do get there undefeated, I'd take Tennessee over a one-loss Clemson. Check. They already got that one loss. I'd take Tennessee over a one-loss TCU if it comes to that sort of situation. TCU got pushed by a Texas Tech team yesterday. Who knows what could happen to them the rest of the way? I'd take Tennessee over any one-loss Pac-12 champ. So there's a lot still out there for Tennessee. And I think the way that college football went yesterday makes their story really, really interesting the rest of the way. So for Tennessee, came up short yesterday, just like Josh Heupel said. If you're a Vol fan, time to reset, understand what's in front of you, a lot to play for. It's going to be an exciting rest of the way. We'll track all of it here. You better believe it. Thanks so much for tuning into the Hard Count. I'm JD Piquel. Nick Brake does the real heavy lifting. You can help drive this whole operation by subscribing to the channel. Thank you to all the Tennessee Vol faithful that already have subscribed. If you haven't yet, come join the party. We have a real good time. So, until next time, we're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of the Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.